Normally I'd save how I met the guest for after the intro. However, I find this a unique enough story that it fits well as the actual intro. What a better way to set the stage than to lay it all out there. It's an interesting story how Ashley Taylor and I came to know each other. Back in my junior year of college, in my artist management class, our professor, Sister Marianne Nelson, showed us an interview she discovered featuring Ashley. In the interview, Ashley goes on to talk about how she managed to self-promote her debut EP, Bakersfield, how she was able to get it to chart at number 60 on the iTunes Top 100 Country Albums chart. No easy feat by any means. I was very inspired by her story of self-determination and resilience and connected a lot with what she had talked about. Coming off the success of Celebration of Music, I related to much of the grassroots, person-to-person, genuine and authentic approach that she took to put herself out there. Immediately after class, I wanted to learn more about her. I went on to listen to Bakersfield and ended up really enjoying it. Her stuff easily sounds like it belongs on country radio. I can't tell you what it was that came over me, but I decided to email her through her website. I sent something along the lines that I just learned about her in class, thought she was doing some really cool stuff, and asked her if I could pick her brain about her experience as an artist and her marketing techniques. Now, I didn't expect much. I figured it was a cry into the void, never to be heard from again. Lo and behold, though, I got a direct response. Ashley was very flattered to hear that she was the subject of a class and was more than happy to talk. We ended up emailing and exchanging phone calls there for a time, and I felt that our discussions really affirmed a lot of the things I was doing as an artist. Plus, she taught me a few things that I've implemented into my strategies that have worked. With some of the tips she's offered, I found myself being booked more and making better connections with venues, promoters, and audience members after shows. It was really cool to get to meet a kindred spirit such as herself. Fast forward a couple months, the club that I was the secretary for, the Music Industry Student Association, was planning to book an artist for the annual music festival held on campus, Rose Rock. Our president and vice president took control of most of the booking for shows, so they were also taking the reins on this one. Right before we were supposed to have the final decision, something fell through where the band that we were looking to have wouldn't be able to perform that day. Scrambling, we were all looking at each other for what to do, and it hit me. I suggested we bring in Ashley. A couple of them had already known about her from Sister Marianne's class, and I told them I had been communicating with her for a couple months. So, we decided to reach out, and she was ecstatic to take the offer. She really saved our bets by coming to perform, but it became much more of an extraordinary experience. From the get-go, she was marvelous to work with, punctual with everything, and was so professional. We were required to do a vetting process on any artist that we were looking to hire, so when I made all the phone calls to prior venues where she's performed at, there was nothing but rave reviews. Always early, one of the last to leave after socializing with fans, dynamic stage presence, everything was glowing. And if things couldn't have been any better, we even arranged a mini masterclass with Ashley the day before Rose Rock for students and teachers. Everyone in attendance truly got a lot out of it, and it was so inspiring. And then for the next day, the day of the performance, though it was a freezing cold day at the end of April, she managed to heat up the quad. If I recall correctly, this was her first big college show and her first time in New York, so she was thrilled by the opportunity and the reception from the crowd. Obviously, I got to know her from emailing and phone calls, but it was a whole other thing to see her at work, interact with the students, and show off her humble yet vibrant personality. Ashley and I have stayed friends since, checking in on each other, asking for some advice or help in promotion, or simply wishing happy holidays. You can even see her dancing with her dog in my music video for Dance With Me, released back in May of 2020. So, when bringing Walsh Wednesday into the realm of podcasts, I knew I wanted to have her back on. Who knows, maybe someone else will stumble upon this interview and show their class. You never know. And that's what it boils down to. You never know. Reach out. Ask. Shoot your shot. Worst you'll hear is no. And technically, you already have no. So it's not like you're losing anything. If I didn't think, why not, and not have sent that email, I wouldn't have discovered such an awesome colleague and friend. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Walsh Wednesday, the Reflective Series. As I mentioned, today's guest is singer-songwriter Ashley Taylor. In this interview, I talked to Ashley about her roots in Bakersfield, California, her crazy decision to move to Nashville, how the pandemic has affected the music city and herself, along with much, much more. All that right after this break. I want to say thank you to all the listeners out there. Whether you're listening to this podcast, to my album Away From Home and other releases, and simply just following along with whatever I have to offer. I mentioned this before, but this podcast is kind of like my therapy. I get to talk about subjects that mean a lot to me, and I get to share the stories of incredible people. Any and every little bit of support has been appreciated, and I love the little community that we've carved out for ourselves. Obviously, there are so many ways to support, but I suggest checking out my Patreon page and perhaps purchasing my album on Bandcamp or downloading it wherever you choose to listen to your music. And of course, word of mouth. All of y'all being helpers and telling others what we have going on here means a lot. And hey, if there's anything or anyone you might want to hear on this podcast, let me know. So, thank you from the bottom of my heart. After a year like 2020, I have no idea what 2021 has in store, but I look forward to tackling it all with you. Ashley Taylor has made quite the career for herself already as a singer-songwriter, with much, much more to come. Ashley was named One to Watch by the Nashville Songwriters Association International. Her songs have been placed in numerous songwriting competitions, including Write About Jesus, NSAI Pitch to Publisher, and Man vs. Roe. You can also see Ashley appear in several episodes of the hit television series Nashville on CMT Network. In November of 2017, Ashley was honored by the Bakersfield Country Music Awards for her achievements and contributions to her hometown and the famous Bakersfield sound. Ashley was also nominated for Rising Female Artist and Song of the Year for her song Cake at the 2018 Josie Music Awards. She was also nominated that year for an outstanding 7 KICMA awards, including Entertainer of the Year, Song of the Year, and Top Female Vocalist. The last time we had Ashley on Walsh Wednesday, it was right after her Rose Rock performance. When we sat down to talk, we reminisced about the experience and simply being able to play out for a crowd again.
Honestly, I had such a great time. Like, I'm not even joking. So Chris, my fiance, who's also my lead guitar player, we drove from Nashville up to Albany, which was about an 18-and-a-half-hour car ride. So we drove.
My Lord.
And yeah, I mean, we're musicians, though. Like, we love traveling. Like, it's what we do. So we drove, and we were able to just kind of take our time and just kind of, see a lot of the country. And it was beautiful. And I fell in love with Albany, New York, for starters. Like, just, it's such a beautiful town, and just the vibe and the people. It was amazing. And then, yeah, of course, we got to play Rose Rock, which I thought was a total blast. Like, I've actually kept in touch with a lot of the, people there, whether it be someone who, helped put on the show or just different people, including yourself, clearly. But no, I loved playing Rose Rock. I remember that it was really cold. I will say that. I do remember that. But
it was a very cold day.
Yes. I remember my hands were like frozen. Like, after I got off stage, I was like, oh, wow. Like, it was cold. But I seriously had like such a great time just like being able to play and hang out. And truthfully, it was just one of probably like in my top 10 favorite shows I've ever played. Like, everyone was so great. Seriously.
Aww. That's such an honor. That's so sweet.
No, I really do. I seriously, the people like at St. Rose have like, still, it's like I came up that one time and did it, and it was such a great time and a great experience, but I'm still in contact with a bunch of people. Like, it just seems like a school full of amazing people. So I'm glad we got to connect and meet.
That's awesome. And yeah, no, that's exactly what going out on the road, being a musician is all about, is those connections, the networking, and who knows what comes out of it sometimes. And
so
it's
true. Yeah.
At the very end of the day, it's just cool to get another smile out of somebody else, and just to be able to continue that along. So that's really cool. I'm glad that you enjoyed your stay up in Albany. That's awesome. You're living down in Nashville right now, but you're originally from Bakersfield, California, correct?
Yeah, hometown. Yeah.
I know we talked about this a little bit on that first episode, but for new fans, can you tell us a little bit about your hometown and then that move to Nashville?
Yeah, of course. I would love to. So, yeah, I'm from basically a little farm town out in Central California. And I guess the cool thing about my hometown is back in the day, say like 60s, 70s, Bakersfield, California was actually considered the original Nashville. So we had a lot of hit records coming out of Bakersfield at that time. And so some of the most famous is probably done by Buck Owens, who is kind of like the founder of the Bakersfield Sound. We're also like the birthplace of Merle Haggard. So it's just a farm town that's really rich and full of country music history and just kind of that whole California country. So that's where I'm from. That's where I grew up. That's clearly the kind of music that I grew up listening to. And then I actually went to audio school after high school, and I played like in church and did music stuff and experimented with songwriting and wrote lots of horrible songs, really bad. But I learned and I got better and better. And eventually, it came to a point where I kind of realized I didn't really want to pursue a career in audio. And I really just loved writing songs. And so I started to get involved in a bunch of like songwriting, kind of like groups on Facebook or different things on the internet just to try to like learn how to write songs and be better and what I needed to do. And through that, I actually ended up meeting someone by the name of Clay Mills. And Clay Mills is actually a Grammy award-winning hit songwriter, and he wrote lots of hit songs, including Don't Think I Don't Think About It by Darius Rucker and Beautiful Mess by Diamond Rio. So he actually found me online and fell in love with a song I wrote, and so we got to talking. But basically he said, if you do not get on a plane to Nashville and if you do not come out here, then all you're ever going to do is just sit and write songs in your bedroom. He was basically gave me a kick in the pants and was like, you're too talented, get it together, figure it out. And so I was like, okay. So then he offered that if I could make it to Nashville within 30 days, that I could be his intern for a year and kind of learn his writing process and whatever. So I literally sold everything I owned. I'd never even seen Nashville before, but I sold everything I owned. I got on a plane and I moved out to Nashville. I had no job, no place to stay, no nothing. And it was the best thing I've ever done. Clearly the most riskiest. I'm not going to lie. I hope one day I do not have a daughter and she does what I did, because I really hope. But honestly, like I said, I love living in Nashville. That's been about 5 years ago now that happened. And, when I moved here, I originally moved here just to be a songwriter. And that's all I wanted to do was just write songs and have other people record them. And then after being here for about 6-8 months, I would say so many people were like, I really think you're an artist. And I was like, no. And they're like, no, really, like, I really think you're an artist. And so I really have had like a crazy couple of years, it feels like, because I not only really got to, dive in and learn all about, Nashville and the music industry and songwriting, but also like, how do you become an artist? What does an artist do? Like, the whole process. And I've just fallen in love so much with all of it. Like, truthfully, like there's nothing else I want to do with the rest of my life. And I'm really grateful that people told me I was an artist. And yeah, Nashville, if you've ever been, is an amazing city. And just the music scene here is incredible. And the support you get here from your peers is just, I don't know if it's really something you can describe, but it is truly a magical place to live.
That's awesome. It's kind of like almost like a Disney World for artists. That's what I've been told.
But it really is, though. Yeah, that's a great way to describe it. Just because everyone you meet is a creative of some sort, and so it really, I feel like, drives you to do your best work. It also makes you want to be better. There's so much knowledge. Like, if you're willing to listen and learn, there's so much knowledge in this town that you can just pick up at a coffee shop even. So, I mean, yeah, it really is. It's like Disneyland meets a boot camp is how I think that's a great way to describe it. So.
Now, Ashley has been down in Nashville for a while now, so she definitely has the feel for what it should be. But because of the COVID-19 pandemic, the arts have been severely hit, and I can only imagine what that means for such a music capital such as Nashville. So I asked her to go into what the atmosphere has been like since everything is hit in early 2020.
Yeah, absolutely. I will say too, before COVID hit, I don't know how many people know this, but I think this really affects Nashville too. But I believe it was back in March, kind of when COVID was just starting to become a thing. There was actually a huge tornado, a series of tornadoes that hit Nashville. And it wiped out so many businesses, so many homes. I mean, we had so many music venues were gone. I mean, historic music venues just wiped out. So we here in Nashville really got hit with that at the kind of beginning of 2020. And businesses were already clearly trying to rebuild. We were trying to clean up. I mean, it was a nightmare. And then literally, I mean, just a matter of weeks later, it's like COVID happened and lockdown. And I feel like in Nashville, I know that so many places have been hit hard, but truthfully, we really are. I mean, we're Music City. I mean, what we do is live music. I mean, that's just what we do. We also are the friendliest city in America. I don't know if you knew that, but yeah, we're very friendly here. So it's like we like to go out and we like to socialize with people and hang out, and that's not happening. But I've seen a lot of music venues unfortunately have to shut down. I've seen a lot of small businesses have to shut down. And it's just that mixture of, live music is considered non-essential. And it's just so hard for people right now with a tornado that wiped everything out and you're trying to rebuild, and then a pandemic and a lockdown. Music City has been very quiet, but I will say that we have been very, very resilient. I saw people the other day. There's a street just maybe a mile or two from my house. And when the tornado hit, it was just completely gone and wiped out. And it's been just full of debris now for, months and months. This happened, I think, like I said, back in March. And I saw people out there the other day and they had masks on and they were 6 feet apart, social distancing, but they were literally out there cleaning up the debris and they had a sign up that said Nashville Strong, and they were just going through. So it's definitely affected us in so many different ways, but we're also very resilient and we're very into helping out our neighbors. So it also, why it's sad, you're seeing so many people step up to the plate and actually help each other, which is the way I believe any town in America should work. And I come from a fairly small town and that's how we work, but to see it in such a large city it's just beautiful. And it really is. It's moving to see, and I know we're in the last month of 2020 and I'm really hoping that 2021 is better. But I was just saying this the other day to somebody where now if something happens, which it is every day, I just kind of, I mean, I have to either laugh or just take a sigh and keep going, because it's like, what else do you do? But yeah, it's unbelievable the amount of just things that are happening that are just kind of out of our control. It's definitely pretty crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy, but you're right. We just got to find that perseverance in ourselves.
Yeah.
I remember in the beginning of the pandemic for myself, a lot of it was just being numb and just being detached. But now I find with myself and fortunately with other people, it's more of a true resilience in building back up rather than that kind of detachment that a lot of us felt in the beginning.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. I think it's so easy to, like, I didn't used to be this way, but I would say the past couple of years before 2020, I really learned the power of kind of your outlook and also just mental health. And that's the other thing that I think is so sad is I feel like a lot of people right now, because we're not really, it's hard to be connected and you can't really go do what you want to do. It's just a lot. And so I feel like a lot of people too are just kind of struggling with that, which I mean, myself included, it's just hard to see people, I think, go through that. So I've been trying to make a point, during COVID to really just try to like reach out to friends, call family members, like, do what I can. So that's been kind of nice though, because it's trying to make people feel loved and connected and just kind of not lose touch.
Now, we talked about how the pandemic has affected Nashville, but I wanted to ask her how the pandemic has affected her as an artist.
The answer is it really affected. I was telling this story to someone the other day, and I think it's funny, and luckily I'm able to laugh. But I remember 2020 started January 1, okay? And that day I got an email from the Bluebird Cafe, right? So like historic venue. Yeah, and they asked me to come and play a show. So I got the invite to play the Bluebird. So I was happy. I was crying. I was so excited. So then February, I played that show at the Bluebird, sold out show. A week later, I got engaged. And I'm like, 2020 is my year. Like, I have got this. And then the lockdown happened. And all these shows that I had worked months and months, I mean, like, up to a year to book fairs, festivals, traveling, all this stuff was canceled and or rescheduled to 2021 within the blink of an eye. So I literally saw my entire income disappear. There was no more income. I also had, of course, when you play shows like fairs and festivals, you are under a contract. So it's like I had already spent the money on plane tickets. I had done everything. And I mean, it was just all gone within the blink of an eye. So I've had to, as an artist, what I've done with this time, which I think is amazing, and I've really just tried to make the best out of it, is I took a step back. I looked at my career. I looked at what I was doing, and I took the time to focus in on my craft. So I've actually been practicing a lot more guitar. I'm happy to say that I've, studied some really tough techniques and I've nailed it. I've been just working on, vocal lessons, just trying to improve my stamina. Just all these different things. I've been writing a bunch of songs for myself. I've been working on new music. I've been meeting with a new producer that we're working on. I've honestly just taken all these different aspects and really worked to better myself. Another thing that I've done during lockdown as an artist that I think is invaluable is it's really hard, I feel like, to promote yourself and your music right now because you can't go out and play a show. That's just not a thing. It's not. So, and I know, Connor, we were talking about this a little bit ago, but I really appreciate people like yourself that are hey, I have a podcast. Would you like to come on? And I've been doing just a lot of interviews, and I've really enjoyed that though, because I'm able to connect and hopefully inspire, share my story and hopefully help somebody. But it's also a way for me to feel like, okay, I'm keeping my career afloat. I can't play a show, but I can do this, and that's helpful. So I've just been keeping myself busy, just bettering my craft, doing what I can, and just kind of making a plan for 2021 with I'm going to have new music. I'm going to go out and play these shows again. I've even done things I've had a bunch of band rehearsals socially distanced at my house. And it's we're going to work on our live show. It's going to be better than ever. And, I picked up an instrument. I picked up mandolin. Yeah. I love the mandolin. I have wanted to play it for years. So I'm I'm going to pick up an instrument and just be cool. And so, yeah, as an artist, though, I feel like this year, truthfully, is insanely challenging. I'm not going to lie, but I'm itching for when we can go back to playing shows. And I'm hoping that 2021 will be a better year. Clearly don't want to rush anything. I want to play it safe and make sure everyone's safe and healthy.
As Ashley said, revenue streams and income have been very hard to come by in 2020. However, she and her fiance came up with a creative solution to make some dough.
But yeah, as an artist, it's been a year. And then as a person, too, like I said, it kind of took out all my income. And so that was kind of a different thing. So luckily my fiance is a guitar teacher. So he's been teaching guitar and doing his thing. But on top of that, we actually opened a bakery of all things. Yeah.
Really? That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's sweet.
We literally started baking sourdough bread during lockdown because we were just bored, and so we were baking sourdough bread. Well, Chris, my fiance, started posting pictures just on his Facebook, and people were like, can I buy some of that? And we're like, you would buy bread? That's a thing. Okay. So we started a bread company called Music City Bread Company, and we're already into a storefront and everything. It's really taken off. And so business is good. But if you would have told me at the beginning of 2020, you're not going to play any shows, but you're going to own a bakery, I would have been like, are you serious? I would not believe. I'm like, you're lying. Get out of here. But it's definitely a challenging year. But like I said, I'm just really trying to be resilient and do the best I can and just make use of the downtime. I think is so important. I've really enjoyed getting to spend more time with my mom, who lives with me, and it's just things like that where it's try to enjoy not being on the road 365. Try to enjoy the quiet of not going out every Saturday night. Just things like that where I'm trying to make this as positive as an experience as I can. So hopefully I'm doing it. So
there you go. But what an interesting spin on things for this year. But that's cool though.
Like I said, it all works out, and I never saw it coming, but it happened, and it's great. And so I'm not really worried. I'm just still doing my music, and it's we'll run a bakery and I'll figure it out. It is what it is.
And then you'll just watch both of them build, and it's just going to get better and better.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. It's been great, though, because I do feel, like I said, I feel like while I'm not playing shows, because I've been working on so many other things, whether it be just my craft in general or my live show or, my business or growing my following or whatever it is, it's I still feel like I'm moving and growing in my career. And then to now have this other business where it's it's also growing, it's it's a lot. I'm not going to lie. It's a lot to handle, clearly, because I'm an entrepreneur twice over. So, but it's been really fun. I have really enjoyed it, I will say. So we'll see what 2021 brings with both of those, but I think good things.
Very, very cool. So a second ago, you slipped in there new projects. So is there some stuff that you're working on right now that maybe we could hear
Yeah.
about?
So yeah, I do have a couple new projects up my sleeve. So during quarantine, like I was saying, I was writing a lot by myself and for myself as an artist. Because, here in Nashville, the whole thing is we get together and write songs and we co-write, which is great. And I love doing that. But I really kind of had a very clear focused vision on what I wanted my new music to be and sound like. And so I basically locked myself up in the house like everybody else, but I picked up a guitar and just started writing. So right now I'm actually working on new music with a brand new producer who's amazing. I can't say his name yet, but he's amazing. Really just top-notch guy here in Nashville. And so we're making some new music for y'all. And I'm really happy with how it's turning out. And I'm seriously pumped to share it. I feel like every time you put out new music, you kind of feel like it's the best you've ever done. And with this stuff, I feel like it is truly the best I've ever done. And so I'm just excited. So yeah, I have lots of stuff like that up my sleeve and I can't wait to share it.
Very cool. Is it too early in the process to say when an estimate of when it might be out, or where are you in that process?
Yeah, right now what I'm trying to really just focus on is just kind of creating it.
Okay.
And then, I feel like with releases, it's kind of hard in the world right now to really maybe decide when is a good time to release a song and when isn't. So I'm kind of just working on creating it for now. And let's see where the world is at when I get done with it. And then maybe kind of game plan it. Because I know a lot of people right now are really overwhelmed and there's just a lot going on. So I figured I'll probably just release it when I feel like things are good. Let people enjoy a funny song or sad song or whatever. So we'll see when it's done, if we have a certain date, but I'll be sure to keep you updated and let you know for sure. So
Of course, that's fair. That's very smart. I felt the same way when it came with my album. I was going to originally release it over the summer, and that didn't quite work. And so then I just finally released it back in late November. So it's like you just got to kind of figure it out where you're at, where things around you're at, where the world's at, and there's a lot of variables to go into it. So I'm glad that you're looking into it from a very smart business oriented and just world oriented mindset. So that's great. I love that.
Well, thank you so much. Yeah, I've also just been really blessed this time around, like as I'm working on new music, to have different companies and certain people involved in it that are going to kind of help me push and promote it. So we're trying to really just set ourselves up for success, be the biggest it can be. So whenever it comes out, though, I think everyone's in for a treat. I'm really proud of it.
Very, very cool. Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited for what you got coming. I know I loved everything else that you've had out by this point, so I'm excited for what you got in the near future. That's very, very cool.
Oh, well, thank you so much. Thank you. And congrats to you too on releasing your new record. That's awesome.
Thank you.
So yeah. I'm going to go listen to it later today. Like I said, I'm going to go take the dog for a run and we're going to listen to some jams.
Heck yeah. Thank you so much, Ashley. I appreciate that. So obviously you got the new stuff that you're working on, but as I just mentioned, all the stuff that I love, you have plenty of content out there. Can you tell people where they can go listen to all the stuff you have out right now?
Yes, absolutely. You can find me on Spotify, Apple. The easiest way, though, I would say that you could stalk me on the internet and find links to anything and everything is if you just go to my website, which is ashleytaylormusic.com. There you'll find links to not only my music and Spotify and all of that, but you'll also find my social media, Instagram, Facebook, all that good stuff. And we also have a sign up for my mailing list. You can join the A-Team, which is my fan club. Awesome people. You get all kinds of perks and special offers, and we have online merch store. We just all that stuff. So yeah, feel free to check out ashleytaylormusic.com, and literally everything but my blood type, I think, is on there. So everything but.
It's all good. No, that sounds great. Definitely, if you're listening out there and you need some good new music to check out, if you haven't found her already, listen to Ashley Taylor. She is a phenomenal artist. Great spirit, wonderful heart, and you will not regret checking it out whatsoever. And get involved now, so by the time she's got the new stuff out there, you're ready for it. You're out and ready for it. Heck
Prep
yeah.
yourself. Yeah.
Very, very cool. Ashley, thank you so much for coming on to this episode. Really great catching up again, and probably have you on again in the near future, maybe when stuff's about to come out again. That'd be cool.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I would love that. Thank you so much for having me. I seriously really appreciate it.
Not a problem. Thanks so much.
Now, no music interview is complete without some sample of their music. So fortunately, Ashley has blessed us with one of her songs, and it was definitely one that got the crowd going at Rose Rock. So I'm just going to let her talk about the backstory behind the song.
So, Ashley, you're going to be showing us one of your songs today, and this is a song you've had out for a while, and it's been a very popular one. And I just remember at Rose Rock, this was definitely a hit with a lot of the fans out there. Can you tell us a little bit of the backstory behind Cake?
Yes, absolutely. So Cake is a true story. So I was dating a guy, and he was horrible. He was just a really big jerk. Okay. Just straight up. And he was so much a jerk that on my birthday, he actually stood me up. I know everyone's reaction is like gap silent, like, but yeah, so he stood me up on my birthday, and basically, I was hanging out with friends, and I was eating my birthday cake, just kind of do my thing. And all my friends were like, what are you going to do? Like, how are you going to handle this? And I went on this whole thing about like, I'm just going to move on, like, forget this guy. Like, this is ridiculous. I'm going to break up with him. But one of the things that I said in my whole little speech, as I'm sitting there eating my cake, just going on and on, is I want a man to look at me like I look at cake. And everybody just started laughing. And I was like, that's kind of funny. So the next day I sat down and I wrote the song. And I truthfully wrote this as a total joke. I was just trying to be fun. And, I played it that one time, just one time. And the reaction was just crazy to it. And so it's just gone on to be on my EP. It's gone on to be my most popular song, the most requested. And I know at Rose Rock, it warmed my heart because I know a lot of the people were singing it back to me, which it got me. I got a little teary eyed. But yeah, so I love this song. It's just super fun, and it's just the truth. It's a true story.
I absolutely love it. I know I enjoyed it back at Rose Rock at the time, and I'm sure that a number of people are going to enjoy it right now. So for the Walsh Wednesday listening audience, this is Cake by Ashley Taylor.
Why can't a man look at me like I look at Cake? Well, I'm in my party dress with frosting on my face. He left me all alone on my birthday. Asshole. But it's alright, yeah, I'll be fine. And all that remains is one more bite to drown that bitter taste. And tomorrow he'll come crawling back, but I'll just laugh it off. 'Cause I'm already moving on, 'cause he ain't what I want. I want a man to look at me like I look at Cake. He can't stop himself from taking a taste. If he wanted me like a second piece, I'd have it made. Oh, I just want a man to look at me like I look at Cake. Oh, why can't a man look at me like I look at Cake? I'm velvet soft, angel sweet, the perfect treat. A real man would be crazy not to want me. It's not hard to see, I'm a real masterpiece. So it's his loss that he burned me. And tomorrow he'll come crawling back, but I'll just laugh it off. 'Cause I'm already moving on, 'cause he ain't what I want. I want a man to look at me like I look at Cake. He can't stop himself from taking a taste. If he wanted me like a second piece, I'd have it made. Oh, I just want a
Thanks again for tuning in, everybody. As always, I'm Conor Walsh, and I'm glad we get to spend some time.